Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
However, there have been a certain percentage of this volume of reports that have been made by credible observers of relatively incredible things.
3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff. 32 minutes past the hour. Liftoff on Apollo 11. Tower clear.
But other sightings apparently were taken more seriously.
And one in particular, an incident called the Rendlesham Forest Incident, also known as Britain's Roswell. This was in 1980, shortly after Christmas, when a few American airmen who were stationed in the UK reported seeing a UFO.
A huge, solid, diamond-shaped object they described as 100-foot long, hovering silently in the sky above them.
There is very compelling evidence that we may not be alone, whatever that means.
UFOs are real. This is a technology that is so far beyond anything that we have.
Reportedly appear to exhibit unusual flight characteristics, appear to demonstrate advanced technology.
Aero is the culmination of decades of DoD, intelligence community, and congressionally directed efforts to successfully resolve UAP encountered first and foremost by U.S. military.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. For this kind of special video, we're just going to be doing a kind of short update video because my good friend Chris Lehto is here. He's currently out in Turkey, and if you know Chris and his work, he has already looked into the Turkey UFO videos, let's say, I think from 2008. So I wanted to speak to Chris and just talk about what he's been doing out in Turkey. So let's bring him right in. There we go. Chris, how's it going, man?
Yeah, great, Vinny. Thanks for having me on.
It's a pleasure, man. I appreciate you taking time out while you're over there in Turkey to talk to us. So I thought it would be a good idea just to kind of, I'm actually going to play about a minute of the Turkey footage for anybody that can't remember what it is or just who needs to refamiliarize themselves with it. So if I just share my screen quickly, and am I right? Oh, it says there, 2008. So yeah, we'll just get an idea of the video. And this is something you've spent quite a lot of time on, isn't it?
Yes, yeah, there's so much footage. You know, normally there's not much footage of UAP videos, UFO videos, and this is the opposite. You know, there's 3 years of footage, essentially, 2007, 2008, and 2009.
Right.
And this one's just amazing here. A lot of people say that you can actually see the looks like gray aliens, you know, piloting the ship there. Or at least there's some sort of humanoid figures there.
Yeah. But what I'll do for the people watching and listening is I'll pop a link in the description because there is a dedicated YouTube channel where all of the sort of footage and everything is, and then people can go and check it all out. But, you know, we've spoken about it before on this show that people still think that it's been debunked and that it's a cruise ship and things like that. Can you just remind us how you kind of figured out that that's not the case?
Yeah. Well, first that there's so many videos, so that really helps, right? It's just that adds way more context. There's way more to analyze. You know, if we just have like the gimbal video, for instance, we have one video, you know, it's 32 seconds, I believe, and that's it, right? But this we have, you know, dozens of minutes, you know, almost I don't know the total amount, but, you know, you're talking 30 minutes of footage, 40 minutes of footage from different times, different years. And probably the strongest evidence is kind of what you showed there, that clip, is where the moon is. And he actually, he has the moon in the shot, and then he will zoom in onto the object right? And then actually zoom out and then back into the moon, onto the moon. And when I analyzed the video based on the time and date that's on that video there in 2008, I think that was the May video.
Yeah.
It matches, the moon phase is correct, and it matches how high above the horizon it is. And so I don't know how you would fake that. It can't be a cruise ship if it's 7 degrees above the horizon. It's just not possible. If it's that close to the moon and the moon is 12 degrees above the horizon, then it simply just can't be a cruise ship. So that rules out that whole the whole cruise ship argument. And then it can't be a lens element, from what I understand, is how does it stay in the same place in the sky and he's able to zoom in and zoom back out? If it's an actual lens element, then it should, from my, I guess, basic understanding, it should be, stable in the frame, right? Yeah. So wherever he looks, the lens element should go with him, or at least I can't understand how it would be faked at that instance. So for that reason, I just thought it was the most compelling video and the clearest video I believe that we have, that I know about anyway. And so I just happened to know Turkish randomly. I did an exchange with the Turkish Air Force back in 2012 to 2015. And the year prior, I went to Defense Language Institute and learned Turkish for the Air Force. And then I flew with the Turks, training with them. I was just an instructor in their squadron, training night vision and learning targeting pods. So I actually helped instruct the Turks on using our advanced targeting pod systems. Those are the same systems that captured the gimbal video, captured the FLIR, and the GoFast. So all interesting time. I love Turkey and been meaning to come back. And so I was able to combine it with a vacation, if you will, where I dragged my family to Kumburgaz, where Yalman allegedly videoed all that footage. And so I was able to visit there, and I found the site that he actually videoed from. I met 2 witnesses that saw the lights, actually. Yeah, that's it right there. Perfect. Yep. And that's so right amazing. There, it took me about a day to track that site down. I was out there at night along that coastline, and there's a lot of planes flying by there. You'll see it's obviously in the final approach path for the airliners that land at Istanbul Airport. It's a giant airport.
Right.
And so there is a lot of airplanes that fly by there. But I didn't see that many ships at all. And yeah, it seemed like there was no obvious giveaways. There wasn't like a random something that obviously would have been the object that he was filming.
Sure.
And so I had my daughter with me. Actually, she helped me film. She's 11, actually, amazing filmographer. She makes better videos than me. And so basically, she followed me along and filmed why I just went up to people awkwardly on the beach and asked them if they had seen any UFOs. And so I did find some witnesses. I found one guy. He was allegedly, I need to track it down more. He was an F-16 pilot. Right. And he gave, while he was flying, he said he did see a UAP. And it was one I'd never heard of, actually. He said that it was a light and it was above his plane, and it went in a giant circle. Wow. Really fast. And he said the circle was 20 kilometers across. So the diameter was 20 kilometers across. And in this big circle, he said he was actually scared seeing it. It wasn't, he wasn't happy about seeing it, I guess, but he did report it. And so I have an video interview with him. He's a character as well, that guy. And then I met 2 other witnesses that saw the actual lights over the Marmaris. And one of them was Özlem. She lives at the site, and she knew Yalman. She pointed out where that photo you just showed there. And she said, yeah, he was right there. And that's where he videoed it from. We saw him videoing it, and she saw the videos, and she still sees the lights. So she saw lights last year and the year before. She said it's just like I'll actually have to watch the video again. I believe the color was just white to slightly green. I'll have to watch it again. But she said the light comes in, stops. So it's not like an airplane, because she sees the airplanes all the time.
Sure.
The light stopped and then moves around, goes up and down, and then just pieces out. And I said, could it be drones? Do you know drones? She said, no way. I don't know why she'd say that, maybe based on the speed that it departs. But I said, I talked to her. I unfortunately, I didn't get it on video. I didn't want to just turn on the mic right then, but looking back now, I should have just turned on the microphone and said, I'm going to record this. Because she said she'll interview me later, et cetera. She'll talk to me online, but she hasn't, right? And I found that as well, is the stigma is still strong. People, even here in Turkey, where they believe in aliens, right? Every Turk I've talked to actually thinks it's possible, which I was kind of surprised, because they're very religious. They're very religious people, but in their religion, they're very open-minded to aliens. I talked to an imam, actually. He's a priest in Islam. And he's like, yeah, if God can create us, he can create other beings as well. We're all God's children. It's kind of the same argument the Vatican says,
Yeah.
Which I was also very surprised when I heard the Vatican, the Catholic Church basically says that, yeah, there could be other aliens. We're all God's children. So even in a culture where they're very open-minded to it, many people just didn't want to talk. They didn't want to talk about it.
Right. It's interesting, man. Do you know if, because obviously we had the UAP hearings recently, which you attended, and we'll get into that, but it seemed to go quite global, that story that the hearings happened. Are you aware of it being mentioned in Turkish mainstream media or anything like that?
I haven't seen it in mainstream media. I looked through a couple of the newspapers, and I did find this thing. If you look here, it says, see that?
Oh, yeah,
read
yeah.
It. Göktasa Korkutu. So that's like a bright light. Sorry, I'm going the wrong way.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it basically says, in Istanbul yesterday, in the sky, there was a really bright light and a very loud sound, an explosion, basically. I think this was actually a meteor.
Right.
I think it's like meteors mostly are green because of the elements inside them when they react with the oxygen. I think it was a meteor. But I haven't seen anything in mainstream. I guess I'll keep looking. I haven't seen that much, but several people I talked to did hear about the hearings.
Right.
I had one tour guide. He helped me actually kind of track down this area. He actually helped me find the site at Kumburgaz, and he knew right away. And so I've had several people, 3 people have said, "Do you know about the hearings?" When I brought up, have you seen any UFOs? So they did bring it up. So like you said, I think the hearings did make a difference. They're definitely in Turkey. In Turkey, people know about it.
Yeah, that's interesting, man. And we're just going back to the case that you're out there looking at. Is there more that can be done on the case? Do you have plans to kind of take it any further, or is it just a case of speaking to the witnesses again?
I mean, my hope would honestly be to put a camera system there. Right. If that is a hotspot, and she's seen, like Özlem said, she saw lights last year, she saw lights the year before. As you're in UAP Society, our plan is to actually get systems out there searching. We've been waiting on Sky 360 systems for a long time. I do think that's the best long-term solution, but it's just it's taking a long time to actually get the systems ready. So for now, I'm just trying to. I would love to interview Yalman. He moved actually, so he wasn't at the site. So I went there to try and find him. They knew him, they knew who he was. Özlem knew who he was, and she said he moved to Tekirdağ, which is I think it's at like an hour away on an island. And so he had moved. I would love to talk to him. I hope to get in contact with him. I know the History Channel, 12 days before I got here, actually, they did a report on Turkey UFO.
Oh, right.
So yeah, if you search I think it has 400,000 views as of last week. So quite popular. And he was on there for a split second. So I knew he was alive. I was like, there he is. That's what he looks like now. So I don't know how they got that interview, but it was a short interview, and it just the video, spoiler alert, they said that they think it's a UFO, valid UFO. And so I would love to talk to him. I'd love to interview the witness Özlem to get her take on it. Really just to see, but the initial going, like you've been to Colombia as well, it's difficult, right? You get there, you have no idea where anything is, what anything is, who to talk to. You're jet lagged. And so for me, it was a gratification that, okay, I I didn't waste my time analyzing these videos. I haven't been pushing this Turkey UFO as a possible legitimate UFO sighting while it's obviously fake. I went there, I went to the site. People didn't want to talk about it, actually. A few of them had seen. I said, "Did you see the lights?" And 2 people said yes, but they would not talk to me later. They just like ran off as soon as they saw me coming. So like maybe my I guess I learned how I could maybe better approach it in the future. So not to scare people off. I had like a microphone here. I wasn't recording, but it had a flashing light on it.
Okay.
It was on. I hadn't turned it on. I kind of wish I just turned it on because they thought I was recording anyway. So, but one of the guys had seen it, and an older guy had seen lights, but they ran. So for me, it's gratification. It's at least an initial effort, and I did get in contact with Özlem, and hopefully she'll put me in contact with Yalman, or maybe if I post this video, it can generate some movement. So
yeah,
I hope to get in contact with them. Yeah.
That'd be great, man. Are you aware of any like UFO groups in Turkey, or is it just not that sort of far along with the subject?
They've had a lot of issues here in Turkey. There's been just societal issues, high inflation, etc. I got in contact with Aktan Hakdoğan, and he was a famous UFO researcher in Istanbul, Akdoğan. Okay. And he actually made the UFO museum. But that was in 2011. And he talked to Yalman. He investigated the case in those videos I made, or you can find on that Turkey UFO website as well. He seems like the most famous, serious investigator in Turkey. But he doesn't live in Turkey anymore. He left, and he's in the U.S. now. And I don't know if it seems like I don't know if he's not liked by the government or what's going on, but there was no one here because everyone I talked to pointed me to him, and I was already in contact with him. I asked for his help, etc. On X. So I don't know, maybe he'll talk to me in the future. But it just seems like there's been fallout. That's what it feels like. Kind of like they had a really strong UFO culture, and then for whatever reason, it just kind of fell apart because the people left or moved overseas, or not sure what happened.
Nah, but the one thing is, I think it's great that you continuing to kind of look into it. It's so easy to just leave something as it is and say, okay, we don't know what it is, but to see people actually pushing to try and get further down the line, I think that's really good. And I look forward to seeing what you do with the case next.
I guess I'm inspired by your Colombia trip and successive for phenomenology. I don't know. What do you think? Is there something? What would you do next, I guess?
Yeah, if there are still avenues, even if it's just a couple of individuals scattered around the world, I'd kind of just keep trying to get hold of them. I don't like to leave things 75% done. I'll put everything in until I, hit that brick wall so many times that enough's enough. So yeah, I think, it's not easy. You do hit these stumbling blocks all the time. But yeah, it's some people, everyone's different, aren't they? I just want to keep going and hopefully get some kind of resolution at the end of it.
Yeah. And that's the hope. And I said over a year ago, I would come here, just to see for myself. And so this was kind of, making good on that promise, and then established a few more leads. So in contact with Akdoğan now. So maybe that will help, and Özlem as well. Yeah, exactly. I feel the same way. I'd rather go out and do something, and if it fails, then it fails. But at least there's forward momentum. There's something pushing somewhere, so that maybe something will happen. Some weird off lead they'll hit or something. But yeah, in the long run, it would be great to set up actual long-term camera positions. I think that would be ideal.
Yeah, I think that's what we're kind of starting to think about with regards to Colombia as well, is, these things we've realized they don't stick to a schedule. They can turn up at any time, and we can't have eyes on the sky or eyes on the mountain, as it were, in Colombia. We can't have that day in, day out, night in, night out at 3 a.m. So I think, we would be looking to get a Sky 360 UFO DAP or something of that sort. That almost seems like it makes sense for the next phase of the project. So Yeah.
Or to maybe inspire, maybe Özlem or one of the other site members, maybe they'll get a video and they'll send it to me, I don't know. So I
Yeah.
just hope to just maintain good contact with them, and hopefully something will come out of it in the future.
Yeah, I keep my fingers crossed for you. Like you said, something can just happen, come out of left field, and breaks the case wide open again. So yeah, I really look forward to seeing what else you do with it. But I'd like to move on to the recent House Oversight Committee subcommittee hearing that you actually attended. So what kind of made you want to actually make that journey from Portugal to the US to attend the hearing?
It felt like I was able to, I had an opportunity where I guess I could go. This is my full-time job at the point, at the moment, and I hope in the future. And so I had the ability to go. And I think it was just an amazing time, amazing opportunity to really see and shake these guys' hands in person. I just wanted to be there, if anything, just to support Grush and Graves and Fravor, just to be there and support them. And then anything else that could come out of that, I think would have just been bonus. And I guess I kind of see that as the point of my channel, why I have Patreons. The idea is that the interested people want to support me, then I use that funding to go and do stuff that they couldn't do necessarily, right? If you have a normal 9-to-5 job, bunch of kids, you can't necessarily just pick up the next week and go, because they didn't highlight it, right? They released the actual time and date the Friday before, I think, the Thursday before. So I'd actually bought my tickets before I even knew that it was fully scheduled. I'd heard they mentioned that it was going to be on the 26th, but there was nothing formal written anywhere or what times or where it was going to be. So I just, the week before, bought my tickets for that whole week, So I guess, again, I just had the ability, and it seemed like a once in a lifetime kind of opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, if we look back at like the hearing where Dr. Kirkpatrick sat down in front of Senator Gillibrand, etc., and there was a very small public attendance at that hearing, and then you look at this one, and it was completely the opposite. It was, the room was full, and I think there was an extra room where people were ushered into who couldn't get into the main room. What was it like before the hearing, queuing up at that building and seeing everybody, so eager?
It was super exciting. I mean, it really was. And also just to meet, you meet all these people, it's all on the web, on the internet, and then you meet people in real life, and you're like, oh, these are normal, interested people just like me, It's very smart, motivated, excited people. And there's a lot of us, there really is a lot of us. And so that was really exciting to see. And I think also the fact that they covered the previous hearing, you mentioned, why did I go, is Tim Ventura, after the Kirkpatrick hearing that you mentioned, he actually got in touch with Falcon Space, 2 guys from Falcon Space who went there. They were in the background of the hearing, and I interviewed them. It's on my channel. I covered with Anna Paulina Luna, but interview with Falcon Space, and there were these 2 guys, and they said, yeah, we just walked right in. I guess I just assumed you couldn't go or something, or we needed tickets. I don't know, but yeah, you can just walk in, if you're a citizen, which makes sense. And even not, I guess they didn't even check. It was just a security check. He didn't have any guns, so anyone could have gone in there. And they had great access. So yeah, the Falcon Space guys, they said that they could just walk in. They talked to Senator Gillibrand. They stood around. She was interested. Senator Gillibrand was really interested in what they had to say, and seemed motivated. And so I just thought that was an amazing opportunity. If I could go there and actually talk to these congressmen, to talk to a senator like that would have been a huge opportunity. And so that also added to it, more information. I think we live in the information age now, and we can share all this information so much that knowing that previously, affected my decision to go. If it was just, I'd be standing outside this giant concrete building, watching it on my phone, I probably wouldn't have gone. I would have just covered it. I could have covered it better from my house. But the fact that I knew beforehand that, yeah, you can go in, there's a chance you could even talk to the senators or the congressmen. And then, I thought I can't pass up on this opportunity. And I did. I got to talk to Tim Burchett, at least. We talked to the congressman's aides afterwards, not his, but Congressman Fry, and gave them my big points for the hearing, which is that we need to protect the whistleblowers more. So I think it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and with the aides, could you see that there was a genuine interest there? It didn't feel like it was just they were doing their job, but they actually were engaging, positively.
It definitely felt that way. Who knows if they're just giving lip service, but they're like professional aides. This guy, the two guys I would say were young, early 30s, maybe mid 30, and they've done that for different congressmen. So
Right.
that's their full-time job, and they aren't on the oversight. So Congressman Fry is on the oversight committee. But what I learned is there's all these different committees that people can be on.
Yeah.
And specifically, that's what you mentioned is a subcommittee hearing, right? Subcommittee of the Senate Armed Service. It wasn't even Senate Armed Services. It was
the House Oversight. Yeah.
It's House Oversight, but it was even a specific issue. I can't even remember the actual. It's parlayed out, So there is this oversight committee, and that's who I talked to is one of the aides on that, and they do seem motivated. They did seem interested, but he's not on that subcommittee, so he doesn't look into specifically defense spending or armed services. He's not on the Armed Services House Committee.
Yeah,
but he is part of the larger oversight committee.
Yeah.
So yeah, it seemed like it was a new topic to them. They seemed surprised that there was so much interest, that we were all there. That's what I really got, is that it was like all these thousands of people kind of just congregated into this area. We blocked up the hallways. They were always yelling at us to get out of the hallway because the Congress people and aides can't get can't walk as they have to weave through the people, and so people seem really surprised. I talked to a press woman. She actually covers, and she knew a lot of the information on this actually, but it seemed like it was kind of a new topic. They're like, whoa, we didn't realize this was so popular.
Yeah, I mean, one thing I noticed as well is that during the actual hearing, following the initial opening statements from the three witnesses, was that there was such a vast amount of well-researched questions being asked of them. So it does seem like there was a lot of good preparation, and that has to involve the aides as well as the senators and stuff as well, the Congress people. So I think I was really impressed by that they seem to actually care about getting some information and getting to some answers. Did you kind of feel that during the actual hearing itself? Did it come across in a quite a positive way?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, without a doubt. And also what you realize is we just live in this UFO topic, but the congressmen and senators, they have many other topics, and UFOs is probably not their primary topic. You're talking many, many issues. They have thousands and maybe millions of constituents. And so they're very busy. It's just a busy place. You just feel that it's busy. And I guess people complain that, some of the seats were empty sometimes, but that was 2 hours. And these people are running around from meeting to meeting is what I saw. I mean, Burchett showed up before 6 a.m. He was there before 6.
Wow.
And so they're very busy. So I was very impressed with the not just the questions. They were obviously well researched from their staff, but also the time they spent in there.
Right.
The Congress people didn't have to sit in there for 2 hours, but many of them were there for over an hour, hour and a half, right in the middle of the day. I'm sure they had other things to do, but they were motivated for sure, without a doubt. Yeah, I got that impression. You could just feel it in the room that, we were there to support. We were there to support the whistleblowers and the Congress people. I thought Moskowitz asked amazing questions. Gates, I did a video on him. He's obviously pushing this. He mentioned the protected disclosure, the whole Eglin issue, where he actually couldn't share the information with the other Congress people. And they said all the right things. We need to meet with Grush in a compartmented facility, so inside a skiff right after this. AOC showed up. It was great to see her as well. She's a celebrity, essentially celebrity congressperson, and she wasn't on that subcommittee. She's not on that subcommittee. So you did have other congresspeople coming in to give their own seemed like well-researched questions.
Yeah, no, it was really good. Absolutely. I mean, sort of looking back on it now, post hearing, it seems we're in that, we always hit these kind of lulls, these low periods following reports or hearings or anything. What is it you'd like to see next? I mean, I hear murmurings of a Senate Armed Services Committee hearing or Intel Committee hearing. You know, do you think that's naturally the next thing we should look forward to, maybe?
I hope so. That's the rumor, is that there's going to be a Senate Armed Services Committee in September. You know, and usually that, because August, I think they take August off.
Yeah.
It's kind of the month off. And then when they come back in September, yeah, I would like to see that we push again, you know, try and push on X and my channel to get people to call their senators. Because they definitely listen. You know, these aides, they listen, they mark it down. The offices aren't that big. You know, when I was, I guess, a congressman, you know, he probably has, I think it's like 10 aides total staff. And the senators, they do have more, up to like, I think it was like 30 or 40, they were saying. So the staffs are big, but they're not that big, you know? So they were definitely getting the message that the citizens were concerned about this and excited. And I told the aides directly, I was like, look, you know, I will vote either. I don't care what party you're from. If you support this topic, I will vote for you. You know, I will vote for that congressperson. And so just the fact it's a bipartisan issue, I think, is super powerful if you think about it. Because if it's a bipartisan issue, now you can steal votes from the other side, right?
Yeah.
You're not just only going against independents. You know, you could possibly get even hardcore, let's say, Democrats if you're a Republican. You know, if you're a diehard, like if I was in Tennessee, I would vote for Tim Burchett. You know, despite, I don't care what his other policies are. You know, I don't. On this topic, which I think is the most important there is, you know, transparency, disclosure from the government, you know, citizen control over our military, I would vote for him, you know, and it doesn't matter if I'm a Democrat or Republican or independent. And so the fact that it's just a bipartisan issue, I think makes it really powerful and useful for these Congress people and their aides. So, yeah, I think we should continue to push that. I think they're starting to realize that.
Yeah, and it was definitely well represented as a bipartisan kind of, you know, panel, let's say, at the hearing. I think that was really positive. And I mean, if we're looking at a Senate hearing coming up in September, is there any specific witnesses that you think would sort of be the most effective, you know, just to keep the ball moving?
I think everyone, including myself, would love to hear from those 40 witnesses.
Yeah.
I'd love to. And Grush also mentioned a hostile and friendly witness list, you know, maybe even get some hostile witnesses up there. You know, who do we think who ran this program? Let's bring them up there. You know, we have other names. There's been a lot of names thrown around. Get them up there, put them under oath, and then see how they answer actual difficult questions. You know, I hate to say, yeah, I would love to see that, you know, get Dr. Kirkpatrick up there and ask him specific questions, you know, not these softball questions. Ask him, did you receive those 40 witness reports? Okay. You know, how do you define credible evidence? Is there evidence of a program at all? You know, because they keep mentioning about there's no credible evidence of extraterrestrial off-world technology. Okay, great. Is there evidence of a program, you know, a cross retrieval program? No, whether it's extraterrestrial or not. So yeah, I would love to see some whistleblowers always. I think, and unfortunately with the leak and everything, recent on David Grush, you know, they're obviously attacking him. You know, his statements are making a difference. You know, I don't think they'd be attacking him if his statements weren't helping. And I don't think words are really going to stop people like David Grush from coming out.
Yeah, I agree on that completely.
He's been shot at in combat. He's watched his friends die. I don't think he really cares what some trolls say online. You know, ultimately, I mean, it's tough. Yeah, your family doesn't like it. It puts pressure. But after a while, you realize, whatever, you know, we're all human. We all have issues, especially in the military. The fact, you know, I had alcohol problems. I had PTSD. Like, it's so common in the military. It's just a joke, you know. Like, he didn't even need to go and track anything down. He could have just said, hey, David Grush has PTSD and alcohol problems. And he could probably say that for like 80% of the military, right? Or at least anyone who's seen serious combat. You could probably just say that and then start looking. So yeah, I don't think it'll really affect anything. I think the stakes are so much higher than what somebody online thinks of these people, that I think they've had the courage to go into combat. I think they'll have the courage to speak out in this issue.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. It was just an unnecessary smear campaign in my eyes. But okay, Chris, listen, before I let you go, I have to ask, what's the latest with UAP Society? Anything in the motion at the moment? What's coming up?
Yeah, thanks for asking me. Yeah, so we have our new project we just released. It's called Crypto UAPs, and it's basically digital collectibles. The point of that is to fund our camera systems that I talked about. So camera systems and actually a game, Web3 game,
okay,
that we'll be developing. So really the point of that is to use the new Web3 that's coming, right? This is Web2 where we're talking to each other, which has really broken us through many of these issues, right? I'm optimistic. You know, I do throw a lot of spears towards the US and how things are done and the system, et cetera. But honestly, we wouldn't know any of these things if it wasn't for this technology, for the technology that we're using right now to spread information so quickly, to not allow ourselves to be quickly distracted, you know, or to be quickly debunked. You know, people can just come out and say, oh, that's been debunked. And in the past, I think we just didn't have access to the information to be able to go and look for ourselves and say, well, wait a minute, you know.
Yeah.
And now we have so many people looking at this topic that I think it's just, we can break through a lot of these issues. That's what's helped us. So my own reason for starting UAP Society was to use the next generation of technology, right? And it's called Web3. And really it's based on blockchain. It's based on decentralization. And so that's the whole point of UAP Society. So we have our collection launched now, and then our UAP Society Discord as well, that we use. And it's become a great resource, actually, the Discord. Have so many smart people on there. And as a social media platform, Discord really allows you, it allows you a lot more flexibility to share videos, to share information, to create events. And so in there, what we do is we use Web3 technology through the crypto UAPs I mentioned, and create a holders only channel. So if you are a holder, I know you are, I'll be sharing early access videos on there in the holders chat from now on. And we'll also share other cutting edge information. So yeah, I'd agree people to, or recommend people or ask people to check out UAP Society, go to the Discord, and then they can check out our website as well, uapsociety.com. So yeah, thanks for asking, Benny.
No problem at all. I'll make sure that all the links are in the description below as well. And yeah, I'm really always happy to be a part of UAP Society and looking forward, like you say, to the future and using these new technologies. So yeah, really good stuff.
Well, listen, I have Chris, a minute. Can I ask what projects have you been working on? I've seen so many. You have Disclosure Team, UAP UK, the conference going on with Project Titan. I would love to see Project Titan take off.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not directly involved with Project Titan. We just have this new European conference that's coming up in November, which is a lot more sort of science-based. It's at the Sorbonne University, so it's a really prestigious university, kind of like the Oxford and Cambridge of Paris. But yeah, it's going to be amazing. I'm lucky enough to be sort of hosting and introducing all the guests and the speakers. Other than that, yeah, I mean, we'll be planning next year's trip to Colombia soon. I've just got loads going on. I've always got little things happening that hopefully will come to fruition further down the line. Yeah, I just like to keep busy and do what I can.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, I've watched the first episode of Phenomenology. I need to keep going.
Yeah, do it,
season
man.
2, so.
Yeah, and we're just waiting on the last episode to release because unfortunately, Ashley, his house got raided and he burgled. So he lost all his computers and everything. So we're one episode short of the season at the moment, but we'll get there soon, hopefully. So no, I appreciate the support, man. I really do. Well, listen, Chris, thank you so much for joining me, man. It's always an absolute pleasure to speak to you. And yeah, I look forward to seeing what else you do in the future and enjoy the rest of your vacation.
Excellent. Thanks, Vinny.
No worries. Speak soon, man.